Hello everybody, how are you doing? Hope your weekend was nice. I spent the last week giving you guys a bunch of brand new content that y'all ain't never seen before. Went over and bought some nice fresh fruit straight from the market. Brought it home and it was juicy and just fucking pouring out your mouth. It's fantastic. And you motherfuckers just decided to turn around, walk out back to the dumpster and pull some rotted piece of shit fruit from the bottom that was covered in maggots and laying next to a used condom, and then just started slurping the shit out of that. It's fucking disgusting. Bunch of goddamn savages. So, okay, fine. Y'all want to slurp up the remains of some rotted corpse? Here you go. Maggot filled and cum covered, just like you like it. Yet another survival challenge. So I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I kind of sort of fibbed a bit in the title of this video. I know it says John Wick because it just helps the algorithm if it says John Wick, but it's really not John Wick specifically. It is the high table. We're gonna go into this alternate universe where these characters did something to piss off the high table and they just sent a bunch of fucking assholes after them to just wipe them all out, and we're gonna see how they do. Would they survive like John Wick kind of sort of tried to survive, or will they die a horribly painful but very badass death? And that's what we're here to find out. Now, that doesn't mean that John Wick won't be in the video at all. If a character does really well against the high table and just slaughters his way through the whole group, I will obviously introduce John Wick as like bonus challenge. But for the most part, this is going to be a specific martial artist being attacked by the high table. But that's enough waste of your time. Let's get started. Now, first off, as always, I guess I have to explain to you what the actual challenge is. I don't know why you clicked on a fucking martial arts survival challenge. You'd assume that you've probably seen John Wick. I don't know what the fuck you're doing here if you haven't seen John Wick. Like, come on, man. It's 4 movies, and they're some of the biggest movies that come out. Do I really have to do this? Spit the rotten cum out your mouth and go watch the John Wick movies. They're mostly very good. 2 isn't. 2's a piece of shit. But the other 3 are really good. Just go watch them so I don't have to do this. No. I should thank you, really, for the opportunity. No. The privilege to go over and explain a bunch of shit you should already know and adding untold amounts of editing time to this video. Thank you. Thank you. So what exactly is the high table? How does the world of John Wick work? What is the challenge that our martial arts masters have to deal with in today's survival challenge? Well, the way I like to look at the John Wick world is that it's basically a shonen anime. And what I mean by that is that in a bunch of different shonen animes, the entire universe of those animes exists around one particular occupation, right? Like Naruto is all about ninjas. If you're not a ninja in Naruto, you don't fucking exist. The entire society revolves around ninja culture, right? If you're Toriko, the entire world revolves around chefs and the culinary arts. Every single creature and enemy in the entire world is in some way related to food or being a chef. And you can basically go down the list with this. My Hero Academia, the entire world revolves around superheroes. Demon Slayer, the entire world revolves around demon slayers. Fairy Tail, the entire world revolves around mages. And on and on and on and on. The entire society, economic structure, everything is entirely based around some form of occupation. Well, that's basically what John Wick world is. Except in this case, it's assassins. Basically, this world cannot function if there aren't assassins. Their entire economic structure and society is built on it. It's so accepted in their world. Every single person you run into, from the homeless people on the streets to the local police station to just random ass people on the subway, are all involved in this insane, over-the-top, overbearing assassin culture. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the entire John Wick series is just a prequel, and the next film that comes out is gonna be about some middle school kid going into high school and dreaming about becoming the world's greatest assassin, and one day being just as great as John Wick. Just like every other shonen anime in existence. You know, I feel like I'm painting this as a bad thing, but that's actually a really cool idea. Like, the idea that John Wick is actually like Gold Roger or All Might, and then there's a whole generation of young kids who want to grow to be assassins and become the next Baba Yaga. That would be a pretty fucking cool series. That should have been the series, not the Continental. That should should have been the series right there. A fucking live action shonen anime revolving around a bunch of middle schoolers wanting to be the new Baba Yaga. That is some cool shit right there. So with their society being entirely revolved around murder for money, basically, you can't just have a society like that and not have someone in charge, someone keeping shit sane. Because if you just let that shit go, your society turns into fucking, I don't know, Warhammer 40K or some shit. It just becomes chaotic. Everyone just starts murdering each other. You got serial killers. It just becomes insane. So someone had to rise up and take the reins and create rules and structure for the society, or else it would just fall the fuck apart. And the organization that did that is the High Table. Now, we don't really know the structure of the High Table for the most part. Like, we don't know if it's literally a table with a bunch of super powerful dudes that all sit around it and just talk about shit and plan out the structure of the world. We don't know if it's one guy. We don't know if it's a bunch of people. It's just this overbearing, all-powerful presence that controls everything, and it only ever really works through other people who show up and clearly have a lot of power over the assassins within this world. So as far as how the structure works, I can't really tell you because the movies haven't really told us yet. I feel like the entire John Wick franchise has only shown us up to this point a very small fraction of exactly what the High Table is, and perhaps they'll show us more in the future. So as of right now, what exactly do we know of the High Table? Well, we know that they employ a lot of assassins. How many assassins? How many people exist on the planet? 8 billion? They have 8 billion assassins. That's not even a joke. Every single person in this entire franchise is in some way involved with like assassin shit. You have bums on the street, doctors, random librarians. At the end of John Wick 2, John is having a meeting in a park with a friend, and then he basically gets outed and a bounty goes on his head that gets sent to all of the assassins that work for the High Table. So once this happens, he starts walking out the park, and literally every single person that's just chilling in this park, completely unrelated to John Wick, starts getting a text saying that his bounty has been opened. Literally everyone. There isn't a single person in this park that's not an assassin. How is that even possible? Like, there's no soccer moms walking her dog or anything. They're all just badass assassins. What fucking public park is this? And look, even if every single person in the world isn't an assassin, they're at bare minimum aware of the assassin culture. I mean, there are multiple shootouts in train stations. There's a stabbing at one point that happens in a crowded area, and nobody gives a shit. They're just totally cool with this shit happening. Nightclubs have shootouts in them, and everyone just keeps dancing and doesn't really care that people are fighting to the death in front of them. It just seems to be very widely known that this is something that happens all the fucking time across the entire planet, in every city, in every country. I mean, over the course of these movies, how many people does John Wick kill? 10,000? That might actually be a lowball. I mean, this dude kills a lot of fucking people. The High Table seems to have limitless people to just throw at him wherever he goes, no matter what. And the crazy part is that this whole thing happened because John shot one dude in a hotel where he wasn't supposed to shoot the dude, and they thought this one action was so atrocious that they would send so many men to their death going after John Wick that they would lower the oxygen level requirements on the planet Earth. This motherfucker killed more people than Genghis Khan. How is the High Table not sweating how many people they've lost? You know what? Maybe that's what it is. If the entire economy of the John Wick universe is based on assassination, killing this many assassins may actually improve the economy. Maybe that's what the John Wick films are all about. They don't actually care all that much about the dude John Wick shot. That's not the point. Look, everybody, inflation is fucking ridiculous. Let's send about 20,000 people after John Wick, fix the problem overnight. So yeah, the High Table has lots and lots and lots and lots of people that they can just constantly send all the time without any real limit to how many they can send. They are incredibly powerful, have some insane technology. Like, a lot of the assassins wear suits that are fucking bulletproof. Like, impossibly bulletproof. Like, John Wick literally uses his fucking jacket on his suit as a shield, like fucking Captain America, to block bullets at point blank. Even shotgun blasts don't really seem to go through it all that well. And you have these black armored troopers that go in with 100% armor, like even shooting them in the face in their little screen visor things with a shotgun doesn't go through the fucking screen. You actually need shotguns that shoot armored piercing rounds, and then you still have to shoot them through the visor, not the regular armored part. I don't know who made these fucking suits, suits, but get that guy's name and sell that to the military, because we ain't losing no fucking wars if we got that shit. And really, that's it. That's what makes the high tower so dangerous. The ridiculous amount of people, the fact that it's incredibly hard to actually get to them because nobody knows where they are or who they are. They just have this power that stretches over everybody. The fact that no matter where you go, you're not safe because literally homeless guys in the streets work for them and create this information network under them. You aren't safe anywhere. You're not really going to have much of a time to rest. And it's just wave after wave after wave after wave of extremely skilled fighters that are bulletproof coming after you. So how are our martial arts masters going to deal with this onslaught of bullshittery? Let's find out. Up first, we got Frank Dux from Bloodsport. So as a child, little Frankie had a next door neighbor who just so happened to be like the most legendary, greatest martial arts fighter on the entire planet. And this guy just happened to want to train little Frankie how to fight. I mean, just how lucky can you get? So he trains for his entire life all the way up to adulthood, and then he leaves the country to go join this ultimate badass, like illegal tournament that's supposed to have the greatest fighters in the whole world come from all over to fight. And he goes there as a representative of his master, who is again the most legendary, greatest super martial artist to ever live. He fights in the tournament, he wins, and essentially claims the crown as the new greatest amazing fighter to ever live. That's it. That's the whole explanation of the movie. I wish I could give you a little bit more details, but to be honest with you, Bloodsport is a pretty simple movie. It's a tournament movie. You just follow this guy throughout the tournament. He makes a friend, he fucks a chick, and that's really it. That's all there is to it. The 80s was a simple time, guys. It wasn't so complicated. You know, they didn't have all this lore to go over. It was usually just a dude kicking a bunch of other dudes' asses. So what exactly can Frank do? Well, Frank, more so than anyone else on this list, is probably the most, how do I put this? Jedi-like? Like, he's not literally a Jedi. He doesn't have the Force, but he just has a bunch of little crazy abilities that's kind of like, sort of like Jedi adjacent. For instance, to prove that his master is who he says he is, he has to do this thing where he hits a stack of bricks, and he can't harm any of the bricks except for the bottom brick, and he has to shatter the specific brick in the stack, but not any of the other bricks. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know if it's possible, but it just seems like crazy Jedi shit to me, you know? At one point in the movie, he gets blinded and he has to go through an entire fight blind, and his training and senses are just so fucking amazing. He doesn't actually need to see in order to fight. That's definitely some Jedi shit. You can't tell me that's not Jedi shit. He meditates while doing a split. That's at least half Jedi shit, you know? The movie just gives him a bunch of very odd feats that you wouldn't normally see in a martial arts movie. It's just like a modern day martial arts movie about a guy who fights people. On top of all that, you have his physical abilities. Like I've already said, he's able to break a brick, a specific brick within a certain stack, but he's also able to increase his defense through focus and meditation. Like there are characters in the movie who are shown punching these massive blocks of ice and just shattering them into pieces, and he takes punches and kicks from these people throughout the whole movie and doesn't really take all that much damage, and he's shown being able to ignore pain and broken bones and things like this through just sheer meditation and power of will. And really, that's it. That's all his abilities. It's an hour-and-a-half long movie, guys. There isn't that much to it. So how would Frank do if the High Table sent a bunch of assassins after him? He'd survive for like a couple hours maybe, if that. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a skilled fighter and all. Like, he's capable of deflecting taser fire, moves pretty fast. Like, someone shoots tasers at him, and then he grabs a fucking trash can lid and raises it up and deflects it, like, after the taser was fired, which is pretty damn fast. I'd say that's probably faster than most things in John Wick. But the truth is that in the actual movie of Bloodsport, he only ever fights like one or two people at a time. And absolutely no one he fights has guns. He's not fast enough to deflect or defend against bullets at all. The fact that everyone he's going to fight against is going to be super armored, so his extremely powerful punches that can punch through concrete aren't going to hurt them nearly as much, as we see with characters like John Wick, who can fall out of a fucking 4-story building, smash into a car, and just walk off like there's no fucking big deal. While the brick feat is impressive and does show a possibility that he can actually hit someone in the chest, and even if they are wearing thick armor, he might still be able to like explode their heart since he can somehow project his violence through layers. That was a weird way to word it, but I don't really know how else to do it. Maybe he can do that, but it is shown that when he does that brick feat, he has to like stop for a minute and actually really focus to do it. So it's not something he can just do casually with every punch. And he's gonna have to be able to do that if he's fighting 40 fucking dudes who are all armored. And even if he was skilled enough to take on just armies of people by himself and deflect bullets and all of that, he isn't shown to have the stamina capable of keeping up with an onslaught onslaught of people for as long as he's going to need to in order to survive this. I mean, John Wick fights for hours on end before he gets a break from the fighting. Frank is shown getting tired from like 5 minutes of extreme exertion during a fight. So here's what's going to happen with Frank. The high table is going to send their people after him. He's going to try to escape. He's going to run into a couple of people here and there, take them out, boom, 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 boom. When he inevitably runs into a group of 10, 20 people at the same time who are all armed, he's fucked. There's nothing he can do. He gets shot and killed. He gets ganged up on and killed. He gets stabbed and killed. Doesn't really matter. Point is, he will be very much so out of his comfort zone, which is really just fighting one dude in an arena at a time, and that's it. Sorry, Frankie baby, but you're fucked, man. Next, we have Rama from the Raid series, and we are getting somewhere. Rama is a SWAT officer, or a SWAT team member. Is that what do you call? A person who does SWAT, and him and his team are sent to this big ass fucking apartment complex to take out a crime lord that owns it, that lives at the very top of the apartment complex. Shit goes really wrong, and you end up finding out that they were never supposed to be there, and it was all about corruption anyway. And basically skipping some details, he's stuck in his fucking building with everyone in the building trying to kill him and hunt him down, and he's by himself, and he has to survive for pretty much an entire day fighting against all sorts of crazed drug dealers and mobsters and all sorts of shit. It's a really bad time. But through his raw grit, willpower, and determination, he makes it through, he survives, and he gets out of there alive. Before then being sent undercover to take down the criminal empire that mob boss worked for, because he wasn't like the main mob boss. There was like more mob bosses that were above that mob boss. It's a whole criminal hierarchy structure thing. And this ends up lasting 2 years of him being undercover and having to take down this criminal empire. And all this man wants to do is go home to his wife and baby, who he never has even seen yet because he was in fake jail while his baby was born. He was only supposed to be in jail for like a month or two. He ended up going to jail for 2 years because of all this bullshit. Point is, this man gets fucked 6 ways a Sunday throughout this whole series. And right off the bat, he has a lot of things going for him that Frank Dux just straight up didn't have. For one, Rama, unlike Frank, actually uses weapons. He's capable of using guns. He's actually a very skilled gunman. He's capable of using machetes and knives and all sorts of different weapons to fight his enemies, and he has absolutely no problem anymore with killing people. He did at the beginning of the series. There's like a character arc in these movies where he starts off as like a good SWAT officer cop guy who doesn't want to kill people unless he absolutely has to, and then by the end of the movie, he's killing everybody. Nobody he fights is living through any fight with him by the end of the second movie. You can only be attacked by armies of individuals for so long before you're just like, fuck this, you're all dying. And that's another thing. He fights large groups of people, unlike Frank, who only fights 1 or 2 people at a time throughout his whole movie. Rama is an insanely skilled fighter. In the beginning of Raid 1, through a lot of struggle, he's capable of taking on 5 or 6 people who are all armed with machetes, while he being unarmed. But by the end of the second movie, he could take on like 30, 40 people, and he's just wrecking through everybody. His skill increase throughout these movies is just fucking incredible. But the most important benefit that he has over Frank is his stamina. In the Raid 1, he is trapped in this building having to fight for pretty much an entire day. It is early morning when he enters the building, and he fights until basically sundown that day. I mean, he fights in this building for hours on hours and never gets any rest, constantly being attacked by hundreds of people who are inside of this apartment complex. This is a level of stamina that not only blows Frank Dux's out of the water, but it actually kind of beats John Wick's as well. John Wick is not shown fighting this long. Don't get me wrong, John Wick's fights are long, 20, 30, 40 minutes of just straight fighting. That's impressive. But at no point did he fight for a whole day straight without any stopping whatsoever. Rama, throughout the first Raid film, at no point does he get a chance to rest. Now, while I'm not going to exaggerate and say that he's just throwing punches for the entire runtime of the movie, he does not get any sort of rest or relaxation throughout the whole thing. He is constantly up, traveling around this building, trying to make it up to the top to get to the crime boss so that he can end all of this and get out of the building alive. If he's not fighting, he's working his way up and stressing out about the next fight that's on its way. And he never just collapses of exhaustion. He just goes the whole movie. It's really impressive, guys. And this is a weaker, shittier version of Rama than we see in the second film. So then the question becomes, how will Rama do against the high table when they send an army after him? And to be honest, he'll do pretty damn well. While not as physically strong as a lot of the characters on this list, there is one scene where he's in prison and he's punching a solid cement wall, and he starts like cracking the cement and breaking through it little by little with his punches. And that is arguably more impressive than just breaking a brick. I'm not going to go as far as to say that he's like physically stronger than the John Wick characters. However, I don't really think that matters. The fact that he will use blades and knives and break bones. I mean, fuck, at one point he kills a guy with a fucking mop handle. Despite being a police officer, he has no issues with going out of his way to murder people in super grotesque, fucked up, and really entertaining ways. The fact that he's willing to use weapons like this against his enemies means that bulletproof suit that a lot of people wear isn't really going to be as useful as it otherwise would be, because like they don't defend against the fucking machete. There's just no evidence that it's fucking knife proof, you know? He will fight through the first few waves pretty damn easily, and I'd say he'd probably survive several days before he actually goes down. It's really when the high tower get fed up enough to send those big armored motherfuckers where not even shotgun blasts to the face go through their armor, where Rama's just dead. He just has no way of dealing with that. He might be able to defend and not get shot for a while because he's shown fighting against people who have guns and being pretty damn decent at not being hit by them, but he has no way of actually getting through that armor that those characters have. And sadly, that's really going to be the only thing that's going to be able to stop him, because he's not going to get tired out from fighting all of them. He's more skilled than pretty much anyone they can send after him, and he's skilled with every form of weapon that there is. He's faster than most of them, as we see with him punching the wall. Very few characters in John Wick are shown capable of punching and reacting at these speeds. It's really just all the armored shit that's going to fuck him up. And because that's sadly the man, the myth, the legend, Rama, will not be surviving the high table's onslaught, and it saddens me deep in my soul. Next up on the list, we have Wong Fei-Hung from Drunken Master, also known as Freddie Wong to racists. How could I make a martial arts survival challenge and not put Drunken Master on it? If I did that, I'd be making the fucking video wrong. Drunken Master is the staple of martial arts films and needs to be on every single martial arts fan's movie shelf worldwide. It's a fantastic series and one of Jackie Chan's best. So who is Wong in the Drunken Master franchise? Well, basically he's like a folk hero. He lives in this small town in China, and a bunch of guys always show up in every movie and start to do some fuck shit, and he fights them off. That's it. Look, if you're going into a Drunken Master film for the plot and amazing character work, you're in the wrong fucking movie. You go to this movie to see amazing fucking martial arts stunt action sequences. And you know what? That's kind of what this fucking list is about. So don't get all fucking pissy with me. You clicked on it. So what exactly can Wong do? Well, I mean, you've seen a Jackie Chan movie, right? He can do all that, but the best ever. Like, take all of Jackie Chan's career and everything he's ever done, all the amazing shit, and then the best of that shit, that's here. That's in Drunken Master. Just crazy ass, amazing martial arts stunts, masterful choreography. That's what Drunken Master is. Wong can take on dozens upon dozens, possibly even hundreds of people at a time in extremely entertaining and humorous ways. He's a master creating improvisational weaponry and being able to use basically anything he wants as a weapon, things that no one else would even think to use as a weapon. He's incredibly creative when coming up with certain ideas and moves to do in fight to overcome the challenges that he faces within these films. He's fast as fuck, he's strong as fuck, he can fight for extremely long periods of time without tiring. He can put his body through all sorts of horrors without it really affecting him too much in the long run. He is prime Jackie Chan on steroids. And that's all in his base. The whole concept of Drunken Master is that Wong has his ability to use drunken boxing. There's a Chinese name for it, but I don't fucking speak Chinese. So drunken boxing, which actually also uses kicks, so not boxing at all, is a fighting style that gets more powerful the more drunk you are. So while Wong is a top tier fighter 85-90% of the time, being able to take on some of the best fighters in the whole series, when he drinks and gets drunk, he's basically fucking untouchable. There's no one in the entire series that can even harm him, really. They punch him and their punches don't physically hurt him, and they only even hit him when he wants them to. Like, he can dodge and move around, and his movements are very odd and unusual. Characters struggle to get a hand on him. He can have his head smashed through walls. He can have his leg kicked in like a weird way where it should really break, but it just sort of bends and wiggles out of the way. It's a very hard fighting style to describe if you've never seen it, but I guess the best explanation I can give for it is that it's the closest a real world person can get to having Toon Force powers. It's one of the most broken ass fucking fighting styles in movie history, and there's a reason why it's been referenced and parodied and brought over into so many other things, like Jade Empire and all sorts of other arts have done a sort of similar thing where people get drunk and then they just go off on people. It all comes from this movie, and it's fucking awesome. So how will Wong do against the high table? Really goddamn well. So I'm just gonna say straight up, there's nobody in the entire John Wick universe that can take on Wong. It's just not gonna happen. He fights way too many people. He's way too odd to fight against. His style is just too strange. His body is shown to be able to take just as much damage as the characters in that series, except he doesn't really seem to be slowed down by it at all. And this is all before he uses Drunken Master. It's Jackie fucking Chan. What are you guys expecting? Now, does he take down the entirety of the high table? No, he will eventually die for a couple of reasons. One being, at his absolute strongest, he has to be drunk at all times, and he just isn't going to be able to do that. He will rarely be able to actually fight at his peak unless he's constantly supplied with alcohol. Needing to be supplied with alcohol to fight at his peak means that the high table will probably not have a hard time fighting him, as they know he will be attracted to anywhere where there is alcohol. While it's true he is like the greatest fighter in all of John Wick, even at base, without drinking any alcohol, he doesn't use guns. I don't remember what year the Drunken Master franchise takes place at, but it's like 100 years ago. He's in a small village. Pretty much nobody has guns. They don't use them against him. He doesn't use it against them. It's a martial arts movie, and martial arts is really the only thing used. Nobody has bulletproof armor in the Drunken Master franchise. And despite easily being the best fighter, all of their armor and technology and guns and cars and all that sort of shit, they're gonna be able to fuck him up eventually. And without the alcohol, a lot of that damage he's not gonna be able to come back from. But the main reason he's gonna fail and he's gonna get taken out is because he's against murder. Drunken Master does not kill anyone ever. In fact, when he has opportunities to kill people, or when people around him have opportunities to kill people, he denies them that opportunity. He will actually stop his friends from killing the bad guy. He doesn't like death and having death on his conscience. That's not going to be possible here. You have literally thousands of assassins trying to kill you, and just beating them up and leaving is not going to do it. Essentially, without killing someone, he's not going to be able to stop the high tower, even if he did know where they were. In order to survive, he's going to have to turn his back on his entire life philosophy and his more peaceful nature, and he's not going to do that. He'll die before he does it. So while I think Wong physically and skill-wise is capable of taking down the entire universe, it's really more of his mental blocks that are going to stop him. His unwillingness to use guns and his unwillingness to kill people. These two things don't just make it that it's unlikely for him to win, they make it so that it's impossible for him to. You could say that he'll survive for days or months or years or however long you want to say, but his death is inevitable because he won't turn his back on his beliefs. But you know what? Fucking good on you, Wong, for standing up for what you believe in. Not the smartest thing ever, but you know, it's respectable. So last up, but certainly not least, we have Batman from the Snyderverse. But there are a couple of caveats before we get started. For one, this whole thing is taking place in the John Wick universe, right? So Batman gets thrown in the John Wick universe. He doesn't have Wayne Manor. He's not gonna have the Batmobile. He's gonna have his suit. He's gonna have some of his gadgets that are on his belt. That's it. Also, the way this is gonna go is that Bruce Wayne has been outed as Batman. So the whole world knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. He will not be able to cheat and hide by going from Batman to Bruce Wayne and back and forth to hide from people, okay? He has to survive just like everybody else, being chased across the world. So, how does he do? He fucking dominates. Are you even kidding me right now? Did you watch the movie? Did you see any of them? I mean, look at some of this shit. Look at his crate. Fucking look at it. That's all triceps. How much weight is that he is flinging across the fucking room like it's a goddamn baseball? Even if that fucking crate was empty, this would be completely impossible and make him significantly stronger than any human on Earth. But no, in this fucking series, I bet you that shit's filled with concrete. He's shown flinging around 200-pound men like they're made of fucking plastic. He gets shot in the back of the head at point blank. It doesn't do shit. He punched a man so hard that he did a front flip and his head smashed through the wooden floor. Zack Snyder said before Batman v Superman came out that Batman's suit in this movie does not give him any extra strength increase. It is simply armor. This, as well as the big-ass metal armor that he uses when he fights against Superman. Look at this shit. What the fuck do you mean it's not giving him up? Come on, Zack. You know what I think? I think Zack Snyder was that annoying fucking neighborhood kid that your parents made you play with because they didn't want to like be mean and shit. And then you would play with him and you would shoot him with your pretend gun and he would be like, no, I got a force field that defends against all bullets and all ammunition and all damage ever and I can never die and I'm basically God. He's that kid, and then Hollywood was like, hey, you want to write movies? Little Zachy? And he was like, oh boy, golly gee willikers, I sure do, sir. And now we got Batman v Superman and this dude is just all triceps. This shit is fucking ridiculous. His armor is just as fucking good as the most armored people in the John Wick universe. He is considerably stronger than anyone that exists in that universe. I don't think they can damage him. I don't think they can even really challenge him. And as far as him actually going up against the high table themselves. He's also, by the way, the greatest detective on the entire planet and likely capable of finding out who is in charge and tracking them down. I don't give a fuck what Zack says. This version of Batman is not human. He can't be human. He's not even fucking close to human. These are absolutely fucking superpowers. Like, remember at the end of John Wick 3 when he shot off the building and he smacks and all that shit on the way down and he lived? And everybody was like, oh, this is bullshit. No way. Like, people got really annoyed that he survived that shit because it was just so unbelievable. But when everyone saw Batman doing it, they were like, oh, this shit's cool. Like, everyone loved this scene. And yeah, it's cool, but it's also fucking stupid. How is he doing this? And have we all forgotten that this is supposed to be an older Batman? Like a Batman over the age of 50? If this is him at 50, how fucking strong was he at 25? I mean, he wins against fucking Superman. Like, he actually wins. I don't give a flying fuck if he has kryptonite. This should not be possible. Simply put, the high table cannot stop this Batman. He is absolutely an unstoppable force. Doesn't matter how many people they send after him. It doesn't matter how much armor or technology they give him. They can send 10 John Wicks after this motherfucker, and he's gonna grab one John Wick by the foot and beat the other 9 John Wicks to death with the one John Wick until it ain't nothing left but like a fucking stub of a leg that he's just beating the 9th John Wick with. It is gonna be fucking brutal. This shit ain't even fucking close. And again, let me remind you, that's without me giving him the Batmobile, which is basically just a fucking tank. If he has the Batmobile, they can't do anything to even get him out of it. He can just drive it around and shoot people and blow shit up. They can't stop it. They can't give it a flat tire. They can't do shit. He's just an indestructible thing that will lay waste to the entire John Wick universe. What the fuck was Zack Snyder thinking with this power level? But that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, if you join the membership, you get videos early. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?